The president is floating the idea of delaying the November election. In a tweet Thursday, Mr. Trump claimed mail-in voting will produce the, quote, most inaccurate and fraudulent election in history. He then went on to suggest waiting until people can, quote, properly, securely, and safely vote. The idea was shot down by both sides of the aisle, including Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. Here's what he told our CBS affiliate in Kentucky, WNKY.
Well, never in the history of the country, through wars, depressions, and the Civil War, have we ever not had a federally scheduled election on time. And we'll find a way to do that again this November 3rd. We'll cope with whatever the situation is and have the election on November 3rd as already scheduled.
For more, let's bring in Leah Greenberg. She's the co-executive director of the grassroots movement Indivisible. Leah, thanks so much for being with us. Where does the power to change the date of the election actually lie? Is it within the executive branch?
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. Let's be really clear. The power to change the date of the election rests firmly with Congress, and that means that the election date is not changing. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't take what Donald Trump is saying very seriously. It's one of a number of different things he has said over the last several months that indicate that he plans to do everything in his power to undermine and contest this election.
Well, as we mentioned, the president says that universal mail-in voting will lead to the, quote, most inaccurate and fraudulent election in history. He cited no evidence. Is there any truth to this?
There is simply no evidence for anything that he has been saying on Twitter about mail-in voting. And the proof of that, you can look no further than Republican voters' own preferences. The president himself has voted by mail in the past. Many Republican cabinet members are currently registering to vote by mail for this upcoming election. There's simply no evidence whatsoever of the kind of large-scale election fraud that Trump alleges. And that's usually been used as an excuse by Republicans to go after and suppress the votes of communities of color.
Right. There have been instances of fraud, but again, this idea of widespread, this is what we're specifically talking about, what the president was specifically talking about in his tweet. What can be done to ensure that people can safely vote this November?
Well, 2 months ago, the House of Representatives passed a major bill for COVID relief, the HEROES Act. It had $3.6 billion for safe and fair elections. It is still sitting in the Senate on Mitch McConnell's desk, waiting to be considered. In the meantime, Republicans are putting forward completely inappropriate and wildly unhelpful proposals about exempting employers from liability instead of just doing their jobs and making sure that all Americans have the relief they need for COVID and also have the ability to vote safely in November.
So the president may not be able to delay the election, but do you think that he would refuse to accept the results if he lost?
We think that's very possible. We think that the president has shown over and over again that he has no commitment to the principles of democracy, that he is completely willing to subvert them for his own political advantage. And that's why we believe that it's absolutely crucial that we all be prepared to respond if Donald Trump refuses to leave office or attempts to challenge the results of the election. So we're mobilizing with a group of partners across the progressive ecosystem to be ready with people all over the country to protect the results in the event that Donald Trump does, in fact, challenge the election. And if you'd like to learn more on that, go to protecttheresults.com.
All right, Leah Greenberg. Leah, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.